Show you one of the best kept secrets in doing night blades right here. There it is. Okay, assembled in front of us here on our little work plate is our pair of switches, pair of charging receptacles, 4 green LEDs, 2 blue, 2 red, and then down here the little black dots, those are resistors. What I've already done with my digital multimeter is done a diode check across all of the diodes, aka LEDs. They're all lighting up. I've also went back through and put the meter in ohm mode or resistance and measured the values on all of the resistors. They were all supposed to be 40.5 and that's what they all were. I have a bag that has some 80 ohms in it. Would have been bad if I could have them mixed up. So all the components thus far look good. Okay, we're going to make one more green one because we chucked one off the work surface earlier. It flew behind the neighboring workbench and it's gone. We won't find it until I do some cleanup down here. So there's my LED underneath the tape. There's my resistor. You'll notice I've got flux on this and now my resistor's stuck to my knife. Let's try the other end. Okay. Looks like that went well. The visual looks good there. Rolled around like a booger. Meter back into diode check. Okay, looks good. So, quick recap. We use some blue tape to hold the LEDs down, and when we put the LEDs all in place, I did them in pairs. Did all my greens first, my blues, my reds. Order's not important, but what is important is that all of them, I put the positive side of the LED underneath the blue tape. So the resistor is on the negative side of all of these LEDs. That way when I start to lay these up on the blades, I have my positive trace across the top of my blade, my negative is on the bottom of the blade. I can make sure I'm putting my LEDs on there correctly. So there's that part of it. I'm going to take a small little saucer cup here from Kids Applesauce. Put these in here for safekeeping. Move on to the next component. Let's take a look at our charge sockets here real quick. As I mentioned before, these are just a 3-pin SIP, single inline package. And what I like to do with mine is to sand them down because we're going to CA these onto the blade. And if you notice, possibly, maybe, certainly can in the when you have these in your own possession. This one I've lightly sanded the back side of it. This one is nice and shiny out of the mold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sanding block and I'm just going to rough it up. That way it'll help the glue to adhere to it. And keep in mind, I'm sanding the back of these blades as well, so we'll have a real nice surface. Alright, that's scuffed up pretty well. What I'm going to do with these real quick is, since I've got the soldering iron out, is I'm going to go ahead and tin the connections on these. And when we refer to tinning, that means we're just adding a little bit of solder onto the component. And basically what you do is you're going to solder two components together. Like in this case, there'll be wires soldered onto this, or the copper traces. If you've already tinned the lead, it's going to help the solder flow onto the connection a lot quicker. You know, in the case of the LED to the resistor, those were so small that we couldn't do that. So in that case, you just hold them in place. You put a bit of flux, let the flux flow into it, let the flux carry the heat into each device with the solder on the tip. So those have been tinned. Next thing, let's look at our switches here. Same thing again, we're going to solder these, but what I wanted to show you on this is what I've done for some redundancy. Is here's the original switch out of the package, and it's actually has two separate circuits. So here's your common lead, pin 1, pin 2. Flip it over, common, pin 1, pin 2. So these two sets of leads are separate from one another. Well, to get some redundancy, since redundancy is good for any aircraft, all I've done is just bend them over. Get in position here and hug around the camera. We'll hold this down. Just bend that over like so. Can't get this back out here and frame a little better. Matter of fact, I think we'll make you watch side on. So if you'll notice, once I bend those over, they just come up and touch right on the bottom. It's almost like it was designed for that. Perfect for our application. Again, I'll take a little bit of flux. Doesn't take much flux to make it work on the connection there. Matter of fact, I would say use it sparingly. Okay, that one's gobbled up really nice. Again, clean the tip of the iron. Sometimes the tip will get a big wad stuck on it like that. So, take my wet paper towel. Ta-da! There's a nice ball of solder stuck in there. Bring our switches back over here in field. The other thing when you're soldering like this, yes, I am touching that with my fingers. Yes, my hands are extremely thick-skinned. I'm essentially an electrician by trade during the daytime, so my hands are always going through the wringer. Alright. So a little bit of extra solder on there, but that'll be okay when we go to join those up with wires that are going to be made off of that. Alright, I think that's enough.